6 years ago, Coach Kelly hugged his seniors while walking up this very tunnel after knocking off USC to complete an undefeated season. Saturday night, he got to do it again.
Let's face it, during this pandemic, we've all had a little too much time on our hands. Some of us have binged every show on Netflix. Carol Baskins did it, by the way. Others tackled their reading list. Others still turns to video games. That's what popular podcast host Dan Katz, better known as Big Cat, did when he pressed play on an old version of NCAA Football 14 and introduced the world to Coach Doug's. Toledo Christian woke up early this morning and drove themselves an hour and a half across state lines to Harlan, Indiana for their first game of the season. Those are just some of the things you have to do sometimes in 8-man football. The ride, though, was well worth it, as Toledo Christian dominated the Kings Crusaders 44-0. Year after year, the Marathon Classic is the biggest party of the summer here in Toledo. But with no fans, the celebration is, well, let's just say tamer than in years past. Nowhere is that more apparent than at the bar, where the booze goes largely untouched. Ow. The problems along the offensive line have forced Rowe and the Cougars to get creative. Not only creative, but secretive. In fact, when the offense comes out, the cameras go off. As last year's national championship banner falls from the rafters here at Amalie Arena, so too do the Irish dreams for back-to-back titles. Down by as many as 17, Notre Dame came all the way back, only to lose by a single point, 82-81 to Baylor. After the game, the Irish locker room was a mix of sadness, disappointment, and shock. With the clock winding down in a blowout win over Clay on Saturday, Central Catholic sent in their subs. Entering the game at defensive tackle was senior Tyler Thomas. In a game filled with plenty of highlights, it was this moment that got the loudest cheers. Tyler has played football for the Irish for the last 4 years. He's also autistic and got to see game action for the first time all season.
It's kind of rewarding, especially with the year that 2020 is, especially when considering with all the other factors, especially with 2 games canceled on back-to-back weeks. I think it's pretty refreshing to see, so normal to see in a year such as 2020.
What made the moment even more special was that his best friend, Liam Brown, was right there next to him.
We're like brothers from our mother.
I know for me, personally speaking, it was the highlight of my year so far. My senior year, just because that's the culmination of so much unnoticed hard work, so much things that when people aren't seeing what he's doing it. That's the product of everything. And that he was able to get that opportunity warmed my heart, and it's definitely the highlight of my senior year so far.
When the play ended and the clock hit 0, the whole team swarmed Tyler to celebrate. When you hear the way they talk about him, it's easy to see why.
I mean, he's a good kid. You know, he lives Central Catholic football. He loves everyone and just loves the program, and for him to get in and see, you know, his face light up like that, it's good.
Tyler like the heart of the team. Like every practice, like he do what he's supposed to do. We just have fun. Like those chances don't come often either. So once you get in there, everybody hype for him. He do what he's supposed to do. So have fun with it.
Nothing can stop him. You know, nothing ever gets in his way or derails him from his ultimate goal, which is to bring people happiness.
Tyler comes to practice every day. He's missed family vacations to attend summer workouts. Even without touching the field, it's that devotion that makes him such a beloved teammate.
Tyler is just the center of this team, really, the center of the atmosphere, the center of Central, and people like him is what makes Central Catholic for sure, and what makes high school football.
It's just great watching the relationships he's built with the guys and the guys with him. You know, he's made this team a better place and brought something to it that I think our guys never would have known, expected during their careers when they started here. Now it's one of their bigger memories.
Tyler, great job in there.
With his time in an Irish uniform winding down, Tyler Thomas got his moment in the sun. Ever the team player, though, he's quick to remind everyone there's still work to be done.
We still have playoffs, and hopefully we can make a run at a state title.
Alex Wilcox, BCSN. Amy Taylor is a mom of 5 and one of 10 siblings. She's an avid runner and has been competing for the last 8 years. She's run the Glass City Marathon before, but when she heard it was going virtual, she figured she would skip it. Until she realized her mom's nursing home just happened to be exactly 26.2 miles away from her house. Taylor's mom, who recently celebrated her 86th birthday, suffered a stroke in January and battled the neurovirus in March. With her health issues, keeping her in a nursing home became necessary, But with the state shutdown, it also meant Amy couldn't be with her mom for the foreseeable future.
We felt honestly as if we were in a race against time, because the nursing homes, of course, kind of had a heads up that this might be, going to take place. My mom has been very dependent on her 10 children all of her life. And I guess when you tell other people, so it was rough learning that she'd be on her own.
Instead, they relied on window visits, and on Easter Sunday, Amy had a special surprise.
I told her, we weren't doing an Easter egg hunt, but she should just kind of watch for me at the window. And so I live way out in the country, and it was some highways, and I was kind of nervous about running that distance with just no assurance, but my kids met me at the halfway point, and when I got to her window and she was there just beaming and like, woohoo, and you did it, and she couldn't believe I fell down, and my son kind of had made this little pink sign that just said, you can do it, and it hit me when I got to her window that is truly what we're saying to her, because every day is just encouraging, and it's not just her. You meet lots of people who are experiencing the exact same thing, and so it's like, yeah, we can all do this if we just stick together.
That first run inspired Amy to do the virtual Glass City Marathon, and 2 weeks later, she charted the same course with her mom waiting at the finish line.
I think as other runners kind of understand what the finish line means to you, a lot of other people just think, well, you're probably glad because you're done, but there's another sense of like accomplishment, and running becomes like a gift that you can give to someone. And I actually use it a lot of times for prayer, reflection, and so I think she was my inspiration.
Amy admits she hasn't been happy with how she's finished some of her recent races, but for this one, the time on the stopwatch meant nothing compared to the time she gets to spend with her mom.
I expect myself to perform, and so I've disappointed myself a couple times in races, but this year, this was totally different for me. It was a moment in time where I was able to stop myself and say, this truly had nothing to do with me and running. It had to do with how you can use inspiration and strength when there's nothing else. You can't control the situation that we're in, and so it just allows you to dig deep and discover why you do, what makes you tick. And she makes me tick.
Alex Wilcox, BCSN.